Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah.
The 2017 Benelli 600i. Actually, I did not want to make a video on this because I did not see like many changes or improvements. But again, many of you guys have been sending me a lot of requests to make a video on the current version to see if there are any improvements from the older one. So here I am. Okay, so first impression when you see this bike and compare it to my bike, there is zero difference in terms of design. It looks exactly the same, but if you have to really sit and observe the bike, I did that. I put a chair in front of the new version. I sat for like 20 minutes and observed every inch of the bike, and I found a few changes. I don't think these matter much, but yeah, these are the changes. In the 2015, you can see that the rear brake fluid hose and a wire that goes through, I think that's the speed sensor wire, if I'm not wrong. These two are like well hidden. They're tucked in between the swing arm and the tire. While in the current version, the 2017, I don't know why they did this. I don't know why did they change the place. Now it is placed over the rear fender because it honestly looks bad, right? I mean, it was okay. Why do you have to mess with it? The next thing will be the speed sensor. This is actually not much of a difference, but I thought I'll just point it out. If you see the 2015 version, it is a little bit different compared to the current version. And again, the front disc brake hose. Once again, I didn't understand why did they do this. If you see the 2015 edition, this is well hidden above. In the 2017 edition, this is being exposed. It is shown here. It is placed over here. It really doesn't show, but I don't know again, why do you have to change the place? I just hope that there is some logical explanation or a technical aspect to it. Anyways, coming to the last difference, the rear brake fluid reservoir. The old one has a see-through glass where you can see the quantity of fluid left. The current version doesn't have the see-through glass. I don't know how you're gonna check the brake fluid level. Maybe that is there somewhere else, but I didn't find it. So yeah, physically these are the minor changes in terms of design. Once again, these are not like major changes, but if one has to examine the bike deeply inch by inch, these are the minor differences. Okay, now let's start the actual review. But before going into the video, I strongly recommend you to check out my first video that I made. That was the 2015 edition 600i ownership review. I'll probably link it somewhere in the description. I'll put it up here. Because in this video I'm not going to properly review this current version because there are not much of a changes like I told you. Because in this video I'm just going to take a few pointers, the bad things that needed improvement, and let's just compare it to the current version and see if anything has been improved or not. Okay, firstly, very important point. There aren't much changes, but because of the little minor changes, tweaks or adjustments made, I found like 3 or 4 changes. The overall performance, the way it handles and the overall feel of the bike has improved a lot, at least by 20-30%. I earlier said this bike has quite a few things that make me unhappy. Let's see if these things have been improved. First thing that will be is its weight. This bike weighs literally 230 kgs. Trust me, this is not an easy bike to handle. Unfortunately, nothing has changed here. The weight still stands at a strong 231 kg curb, but the way the weight has been distributed in the current version, I really like it. I'll be talking about this weight management in a bit. The second thing that I don't like about this bike will be its headlamp. No change here either. The light is as scattered as it was earlier, but I guess we have to go for a third-party LED lights like the clear water lamps, because I'm sure no bike brand has great lighting on it. The headlights on most of the bike brands are okay. Stock lights are usually bad in most of the bikes. or even cars for that matter.
It's the front and back weight management that is really bad.
So the 600i's performance, feel, handling, confidence, everything has changed a lot because of the way the weight has been managed now. The front end feels much lighter. This is like a major improvement, I must say. It makes the bike so light to maneuver and the crazy traffic conditions. If you want to make that sudden lane changes or make that sudden U-turns and all, it's really better in this version. When I rode this current version, it gave me like a lot of confidence. Next will be braking. Braking is 10 times better now. Thanks to the ABS, this was really required in this bike.
The rear tire locks very easily.
Now we can stop worrying about the rear wheel being locked, because trust me, I've always had this in the back of my mind. Whenever there were like panic situations, I had to suddenly hit the rear brakes, it would definitely lock up. It was a very scary situation. Now I'm used to it, I know how to control it, but still having ABS is a deal breaker. However, the front brake in both the bikes is excellent. ABS or non-ABS, the front wheel will never lock in a 600i unless you have a really bad day.
The fuel gauge is not something that you can rely on.
No change here as well. Sorry, but I felt that the fuel gauge in the current version is much more inaccurate than mine. I'm not sure if this is the case with just this bike, but there is a lot of error. At least 15 to 20% of error. Can never rely on this fuel gauge.
You literally need to put like 20 kilos of force just to make them work.
Finally, one more improvement. The buttons are much better now. I'm talking about the instrument panel or the console. I never use the buttons on mine because they're so hard to press. But I think they've took notice of this and they changed it. Now the buttons are at least 40% lighter. Now, the most important point of all, there are at least 200 questions on this point: the fuel overflow mechanism.
The fuel overflow mechanism in this bike literally sucks.
Is there any improvement here? Sadly, nothing. The fuel still overflows onto the engine block. But let's be practical now. 99% of the time we're never gonna fill the tank till its full capacity, right? Also, now we know that there is this fuel overflowing problem in a 600. So the solution is simple. Just don't fill it to the brim, guys. Also, I would like to add one more thing. I wouldn't call it an improvement, but I felt that the way the torque builds up in this engine is a little bit different. If you take my bike, the 2015 edition, the torque is this is always difficult to explain. I'll do one thing. So if you take the 2015 600i, the torque builds up linearly like that up till 6000 rpm, and here is the point where the 600i goes crazy. You get a sudden surge in acceleration. So basically 6000 rpm is the point where the 600i really gives that torquey feel. Coming to the 2017 600i, the torque behavior is a little bit different. The acceleration starts linearly, but it goes like that even at 6000 rpm. However, I'm sure both of them reach to a certain speed at the same time. But again, the acceleration behavior is very different. There is no sudden surge here at 6000. There's a complete linear graph compared to this kind of sudden surge. I think this will make it clear. Also, I felt that the front suspension setup is much smoother. My bike is like super responsive to smallest of potholes or pits or small stones, but this handles them better. But again, suspension setup depends on scenario to scenario, so I really can't say which one is better. Okay, beginning of the video I just told you guys that the bike's weight management is better. Trust me, because of this a lot of things in the bike has changed. The overall performance, the handling, the riding confidence and all stuff has been increased by at least 20%. Okay, so finally, what is my take on the current 2017 ABS version Benelli 600i? Should you go for it? My answer will be go for it. I mean, if you look at the bikes today and I have a budget say 7 lakhs, the 600i would be my best bet. I mean, excluding the service costs and the spare costs and all that, but most high-end bikes are an expensive deal to maintain. However, like I always say, don't just listen to some video like this or just go with someone else's suggestion. You need to personally go to the dealership, take multiple test rides and let your own conscience decide whether to go with this bike or not. take it into different scenarios, take it into peak traffic conditions, take it onto a highway. Only then you will really understand if you can handle this bike or not, if you like the bike or not. So yeah, that's about it, and most of the other stuff remains the same. The build quality, the engine reliability, the fuel efficiency, all this basic stuff that I've mentioned in my first video, they all remain the same. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As usual, if you like this video, hit the like button. For the ones who have not subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe, guys. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. My username is Sriman Kotaru, same as my YouTube channel name. See you soon, have fun and take care. Bye.
What a song going mainstream.